Tanzania still has a long way to go before it becomes a world-class investment destination. But there is no doubt that it's well on its way, and renowned developmental economist Jeffrey Sachs seems to agree.
Tanzania is without question one of the very brightest promises of Africa. I've always believed Tanzania is right at the top of the list with a couple of other countries as the places that will break out of poverty first. I base that on the fact that this is a country in peace, a country that is linguistically united, a country well positioned on the Indian Ocean with several major ports, a country with a quite wide and deep base of primary commodities. They've got mineral resources, energy resources, great agricultural resources, a country of friendly people and phenomenal world quality tourism. Whether it's the incomparable safaris or the beachfronts along hundreds of kilometers of Indian Ocean coastline. So this is a country that has the makings of a great success. I admire President Kikwete. I think he's done a very fine job, and I think that he stands in a tradition of democratic governments here that are development oriented. So I put Tanzania quite high on the list of likely to succeed.
And maybe what the country needs now is a little creative thinking. And that's exactly what Ulrich Charteris thought when he started up his advertising company, Roots Marketing Communications.
Well, originally I was creative director for an advertising agency in South Africa. I was sent up here to relaunch Vodacom and came up here about 4 or 5 years ago for 3 weeks. Met Sarah, who's now my wife, fell in love with her, fell in love with the country, and got a bit tired of South Africa and thought there was a great opportunity here. So I started up Roots 2.5 years ago. In South Africa or other parts of the world, and I'm just comparing it to first world, and I'm not saying South Africa's first world, to here, is that there's a very definite segmentation between sectors. Banking, cars, cigarettes, alcohol, people budget accordingly for their lifestyles. Here, in the dollar a day mentality, we're all fighting for disposable income. South African Breweries is fighting with Tanzanian Cigarette Corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers for that share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, share of corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers, 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 corporation, who's fighting with cell phone providers.